Good morning, everyone. It is me, Jackie, and I am back with another motivating, inspiring, and encouraging and empowering video with you this morning. So welcome to living a life of being grateful and thankful. So each morning I've been coming before you guys and I've been sharing great information, great messages about how to be able to live a life that's grateful and living a life that's thankful. And more importantly, being appreciative of the things that you have and not sweating the lack that you have, right? That you don't have. So a lot of times we can get caught up in what we don't have and we think, oh wow, this is a bad thing. You know, my life is unsuccessful. I'm a failure. You know, I'm a loser. I'm a disappointment to my friends and to my family members. You know, I'm nothing. So sometimes we can get caught up in that. And so what I want to do is I want to share with you guys, if you watched my video yesterday, I told you I was going to share with you some tips that you can use and that specifically I want to say that I use in order to help me to go from being a worry ward, from being a person that was stressing all the time, person dealing with anxiety, someone dealing with depression. That was me, okay? 12 years ago, that was me. So I want to say even before the 12 years, because during the time of my marriage, so let's say for about a good 20 plus years, I was dealing with a lot of what I just shared with you. It had become the norm for me. So I've been divorced for 12 years and 10 and a half of these years have been dedicated to me rebuilding my life. After leaving from my divorce. Now, if you don't know, a lot of you have been following me long enough so you know my story about my marriage. So this video, I want to talk to you all about being grateful, being thankful, and living that life like that, right? And being appreciative of what you have. So this is what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to share with you how this girl got from being a worry ward, stressing out all the time, having anxiety, and dealing with depression. How did that girl become this girl? I'm going to share with you how that happened, okay? It was a huge transition of my life going through these different challenges in my life in order for me to get to this girl. So some people may say, well, there's no way you could be this happy all the time, that you could, you know, you always smile and you always saying something nice to somebody. You know, you're always happy for other people, you know, you always, you know, you're so encouraging, so inspiring to other people. You can't be this way all the time. This just can't be true. You got to be fake, right? You can't be living your life like this all the time. So how are you able to do this? So for me, I'm going to share with you what I've done. All of what you see is me. Okay. My friends that will tell you I've always been this way. This is just who I am. Now, I have gone from all of what I shared with you, even during that time, I still somehow, I'm going to say, I know it was nothing but God, but even during those years, I was still able to encourage other people, to inspire other people, to say something positive to other people, but I didn't quite understand why I couldn't do that to myself. I wasn't super happy during those years, but I was able to still give advice to other people and tell them some things that they could do to help them. But you know what? I wasn't taking my own advice. And actually, I didn't know how to take my own advice and how to be consistent with it. So I went through a lot during these years, over 20 years, I want to say, of just dealing with the stress, the anxiety, the depression, the worrying. And we can even go back a little bit further to when I was in high school, because that's really when it started, in high school. And it went from there all the way up to me in my early 40s. I was struggling in these areas, okay? I'm 54 now. So I've gone through these last 10 and a half years where it has made a huge difference. And this is that girl that you see now. So let me share with you my journey and how I got there. So first off, what I did is I had to reevaluate my life. I had to look over my life to see what was keeping me depressed. What was I stressed out about? What was I worrying about? How did I get to deal with anxiety? How did all of this happen? So I had to go back and reevaluate what I felt like got me in that place. Once I wrote those things down, then it became more clear and I was like, okay, is there something that I can change out of this? Can I change these situations in order for me not to feel any of these emotions? Can I change that? When I realized that I couldn't change how somebody thought, I couldn't change my marriage getting back together, I couldn't change, you know, if I didn't get that job, I couldn't change any of those things because it had already happened, right? So what I had to do is look forward to what can I do moving forward in my life. So what I decided to do at that point is I started writing some things down of what goals and accomplishments that I wanted to acquire, what I wanted to, you know, reach, right? So I started writing these down to try to get my mind thinking of something in the future instead of my current situation. What do you want to do 5 years from now, a year from now? What do you want to do? So I started writing things down. What do I want to accomplish? And it became very important to me in my writing of what I was saying, because I was like, wow, can I really achieve these things, right? So after writing those things down, I decided, I said, okay, so now in order for me to rejuvenate my mind, my body, and my soul, what do? I have to go on a fast. So I purchased the book, or I already had the book for Jensen Franklin, so, which is a fasting book. So I read that book. That helped me with my fasting. I went through that part of the process. And so then after I've gone through with the fasting during that time, then I said, okay, well, there's some other things that I need to do. So I said, well, let me maybe start journaling some things of how I'm feeling, how I'm going through this process. And when I feel depressed, I can write down that I'm feeling depressed today in order to kind of keep me encouraged, right? So these are some of the things that I did. So after I did those things, then I figure, okay, well, something else needs to be done. So then I'm a research person. So I started looking things up online. How can I move forward if I'm still with these thoughts that I have, right? How can I get my mind from negative to something different? So I decided to look up a YouTube video. So I remembered about Les Brown from when I was in network marketing. And so I looked up Les Brown, and I found Lisa Nichols. I found Brene Brown. I found Billy Alsbrook. I found so many other ones. There's too many to name, but I still listen to those motivating speakers still today. So, and a lot of other ones too. So then I listened to those, and those people actually gave me encouraging, inspiring words. So this is something I was feeding myself. I'd be up exercising, and this is what I was listening to. If I'm going walking, I'm going running, I'm listening to these motivating speakers, and it's building me up. It's giving my mind a different thought process. Okay, that's the biggest thing. So if you want to go from being a worrywart, stressing out about things, having anxiety, dealing with depression, if you want to go from that mindset to a different mindset, it starts here. You have to change the way you think. You have to change how you see your life, okay? Now, let me just say this. Nothing is going to change you. No matter how many cars you have, no matter how many purses you have, no matter how many, no matter how many houses you have, I'm just going to go down the list. No matter how many friends you bring into your circle, no matter what type of job you have, what kind of education you have, what kind of music you got out there, none of that is going to make a difference in your life to get you from that girl of being stressed, depressed, dealing with anxiety. Nothing of what I just mentioned to you is going to, or no amount of money. Don't forget that. No amount of money or status in life is going to help you get from this girl to this girl until you do this, until you change your mindset. Dr. Wayne Dyer said it perfectly. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you start to change your mindset, that's going to help your heart. That's going to help your body, and your soul is going to, all of them is going to gravitate, and they're going to connect together, and they're going to all start working on the same level. You're going to be in alignment. But until you make that decision to do that, your life is still going to be out of whack. Okay, you're going to be up and down in your emotions. Nothing amount of whatever material stuff you have is not going to help you on this side in your emotions, because they're not connected that way. You have to connect it here with your mind, body, and soul of how you think about yourself. So, as I said, I went through, started writing this information down, started listening to the motivating speakers, went on the fast, went ahead and started writing stuff down for myself. Like, why am I so stressed out? What got me to this point? Started looking at those things. I read a book called Forgiveness, which I purchased when I was married. I went ahead and I reread that book again a couple times over the course of these 10 and a half years. Not so much because I needed it to forgive somebody else, because I had already made it up in my mind I was going to forgive my ex and anybody else that had offended me, because I wanted to move forward. My biggest struggle for me, now this may be different for other people, my biggest struggle was forgiving myself. Was me not feeling guilty, me not feeling ashamed, me not feeling like my life didn't matter, or, I'm less than. I had to work on me. So that was the beginning of me with my self-love, going through this early part of what I'm sharing with you, okay? And it continued on. When I started listening to these motivating videos, this is what really just like, got me on a whole nother level of thinking. Self-love, self-care. I got to drill it home, okay? I got to keep talking about it. I got to keep practicing and make it a part of my daily routine. So these are some of the things that I did that helped me get to another place. Another huge thing that I did is I eliminated some friends that was in my life. Now, this took me a couple years into my journey, but I still went ahead and I eliminated some people that were in my life, that I didn't want to have contact with because they were toxic. They were not healthy friends to have in my circle, right? And so I had to let these people go. And so that made a huge difference in how I moved forward in my life after I did that, okay? It felt like a weight had lifted off of me after I made this decision. And I'm just going to be honest with you, that's how it was. And even as far as the job that I was working with at that time, it was stressing me out. I had to leave from that job. So there's so many different things that you're going to find yourself doing in order for you to be able to practice self-care, practice self-love, and for you to be able to go from that girl or that guy that's stressed out, that's dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety, worrying. You have to go from that person to get to a different person. And you got to make the change. You got to put forth the effort. It's not going to happen like osmosis overnight. It's not going to do any of that. You got to put in the effort. So after reading that book, I had to figure out, well, what else can I do? So I started with some different routines in the morning time. I'm praying. Now, me praying, I was praying back then when I was going through depression, when I was dealing with anxiety. I was praying because I know, hey, that's what I'm supposed to do. But I wasn't up here. I wasn't truly believing what I was praying for. I was just going through the motion. Then I realized that's not working. I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting God's time by these prayers that I'm not believing. So it made a huge difference for me to go from being that stressed, depressed, anxiety person and worrying person to go from this girl that you see now. It's a long journey. It was not overnight. And most people may say, oh, well, you can't be that happy all the time. You got to be fake and your life ain't all that good. You don't have this, you don't have that. But why are you so happy all the time? Because I'm happy with me. That's the key. You got to be happy with who you are. And I love me. I don't get up in the morning time and say, ooh, I don't like what you have on, or look at this or look at that. I don't do that in order to make myself look bad or feel bad. I love who I am. I have put in the work. I have put in the time for self-love, self-care. I have put in that time. Does it end? No, it doesn't. But I did the hard work in the beginning, coming out of being depressed for years in my marriage, before I got married, dealing with stress, dealing with anxiety, on medication in my marriage for depression. I've been there. So to get from that to where I am today, it was a journey, but I stayed the course. And I want to share with you all, how can you go from that lifestyle to now? Now, it doesn't mean that I don't have a bad day or I may not have a bad week, depending on what happens. If I lose a family member, I'm going to go through some emotions like you all go through. So that doesn't change. I may even find myself dealing with it for a month or 2 months after. But guess what? I'm not allowing my emotions to control myself in that way. Right? I'm allowing my emotions I'm owning the emotions. I'm sad. Yeah, I'm sad because my sister passed away, which I've lost 2 sisters in what I want to say in less than 3 years. I've lost 2 sisters. So I can look back and say, wow, that's difficult. Okay. I'm the baby out of the family. So I can be sad about that, which I am. I've lost a niece and a nephew, in the course of these years too. So I've gone through some things, but the biggest thing that I'm trying to tell you is that own those emotions, fester in it, even if it's for a day, if it's for a couple of days and you just want to feel sad, you want to get your comfort foods like I do. My big thing is butter pecan ice cream. My other thing is red velvet cupcakes or a cake, whatever red velvet, that's what I'm going to eat between those two. So I go through those moments. And if I want a bag of chips, that's another thing that I do. Those are comfort foods for me. So I'm going to go through that time and I'll allow myself to do that. But I don't let it control me. And I'll say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to give it today. I'm going to give today a day where I'm just going to mope around the house or whatever it is. But I don't allow that to keep festering after that. After I give myself a time limit, then after that, that's it. I'm moving forward. But see, before I wasn't doing that. That's the key. Before I was not doing that. When I was depressed and dealing with anxiety, I was just going through with it. Just allowing it to happen. Not talking to myself, not saying nothing, like Jackie, even if I said, Jackie, you shouldn't be like this, I still was allowing those emotions to control me. Now I say, yep, I'm going to be feeling down today. I'm dealing with some depression today. Something happened that bothered me, lost a family member. I'm grieving. I'm saying this, I'm speaking this out to tell myself, you got X amount of days or X amount of hours for this to happen. If I get upset, something happened to me, and I'm upset, I may go a day or 2. But after that, I'm like, okay, look, you can't let this keep holding you down. find you some motivating stuff. I got posters up on my wall right now for motivating words that are on there and inspiring words. I'll go and read some of those. I got some things up on my mirror in the bathroom. I'll go read those. I'm making sure that I'm keeping myself motivated and inspired even during the difficult times, which I was not doing before. That's a huge difference because now I'm more in control of my emotions than I was before. So that's why that girl became this girl, where she's moving forward and knowing I have to be in control of my emotions. I can't let my emotions control me, because if I do, I'll be impatient, I'll be aggressive, I'll be very defensive all the time. I want to argue all the time. I'll have road rage. I can find myself dealing with depression. That's a whole lot of things that can happen to take you down a rabbit hole. I don't want that life no more. And I don't want that for you all. So I hope that something that I've shared has been inspiring, been encouraging, it's been motivating for you. It's going to help you through. Hopefully you're going to see this video from the beginning and be able to gather all of the tips that I shared with you in order to help your life to move forward. Out of everything that I shared with you, the biggest thing is consistency. Well, I'm going to take that back. Consistency, determination, and perseverance. Those three. You have to have those in order for you to go from that girl or that guy to living a different life. Okay? You have to have those three: consistency, determination, and perseverance, because you're going to have some difficult times. It's just like I told you guys the other day, even having God in my life, that still is not going to change from me having up and down days. Okay? Having good days, having bad days, positive days, negative days, however you want to say it. It's not going to stop that. But it will change my mindset on how I view that situation, how I allow that situation to control me. And if you don't want it to control you, then you have to learn how to get control over your emotions. It's not easy to do, it's work, but you can do it. You really can do it. It'll make a world of a difference for you in your life once you do that, once you get it under control. So with everything that I said to you today, I hope that you're going to go back and look at the full video. You'll be able to write down the tips of what I shared with you. You'll be able to notice the maintaining part of that process, right? So you might wonder, well, Jackie, you said you've been divorced 12 years, but 10 and a half years you said you was on this journey. Well, the first year and a half I spent being pissed off, being angry, being bitter, dealing with depression. And it's like I didn't have room to have both areas in my life. So I was just stuck in this one area. So I went from that to where you see me these 10 and a half years on this journey. So it makes a difference. So I'm always going to tell you to own your emotions, because they're your emotions, but don't allow them to control you. So think about that. So I hope something I shared, like I said, is motivating, inspiring, encouraging. I know today we talked about being grateful and thankful and living that kind of life. I'm trying to help you to understand how I went from there, that girl, to this girl. So if you're wondering about, is this really real? Is she really a true person? Can she really live her life like this? Yes, I can live my life like this, because this is just who I am. Like I said, the core part of me stayed with me. The core part of who I am stayed with me, even through the ups and downs, the emotional roller coasters that I went through, the ups and downs, all of that. Because I made a decision. I made a decision that I didn't want to be that angry, bitter black woman, which is what everybody talk about. I didn't want to be that person coming out of a divorce. That was never a thought in my mind, to be angry, bitter, and black, and to stay that way. Now, mind you, I did say that first year and a half, I held on to those emotions, right? Because I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was so jacked up after leaving from that divorce, I didn't know what was wrong. But I knew I was angry, I was hurt, I was bitter because of how the divorce ended. But I needed, more importantly, to love me and to be comfortable with who I am and all of my flaws, everything that's on me that somebody may say, I don't like that. I had to be comfortable in who Jackie is and to be able to accept me and to love me for who I am. And so once I was able to do that, I was able to let go all of that other stinking thinking, like Joyce Meyer says. I was able to let all of that go and to be able to help me get to this place. So even though I have my ups and downs, I don't stay there as long like I used to. There's a huge difference in that. It doesn't mean you're not going to have issues, like I've said before. You just don't fester in it. You don't stay in it. You know the right words to pull you out of that rabbit hole. You know the right words to get you out of that stinking thinking, like Joyce Meyer says. You know how to get out of that. But when you're that girl, you don't know how to do that. But when you become this girl or that guy, however you want to say it, then you can say, I know how to do that. I've been able to live, I've lived that life, and now I prefer this life. So this is who I am. So With that being said, I know this video was a little longer than what I intended it to be, but I hope that you all got some great information out of it, and I look forward to seeing you all win. You got it on tomorrow morning's video at 7 o'clock in the morning. So thanks everybody for joining in. Have a great rest of your Super Soul Sunday, and I will see you guys on the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the feed of the video, or you can send me a direct message and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. And by the way, have a great day. Bye-bye.